The match starts soon. Last chance to nail down your strategy.
There's the power.
And welcome back, guys, once again to the ESL Weekly Cup number 43. We are finally getting started now with the restart of our semifinal here between Fixis lads and Too Young to be Esports. So let's go directly into it as we get to this game.
And you're going to hope that they would have learned something since they've already done this map to about 300 points or so. So hopefully we're going to see something else coming out from these guys. So 3 of the red team look like they were going to go over towards the Henge. Now they're just going to have that as a 2v2. And they are going to indeed rotate Goddess back towards the mine, as he is outnumbered currently over there. I do believe it is the engineer, the red engineer, who's kind of in a lot of trouble at the moment. He's trying to get up a point. He has been healed up to full, which is very, very good for him indeed. And it does look like, I think Kaza is actually, you know, not sure which point to go to. He's been hovering in between the mid and the mine point for a while now. He's moving into that node now, and he's going to offer up some support to his fellow Drazet. Is the blue warrior on that team. Of course, over on the Henge at the moment, Lupion looks like he's in a bit of trouble as well, but Fixis actually he looks like he's just going to put as much pressure as he possibly can to try and keep him on that low HP and maintain that DPS.
Fixis still has to be a little bit careful here, though. Again, you need to keep in mind that he is that SD thief. He's trying his best to get in here and knock out Lupion, but he's got to be very careful with all the AoE coming onto the floor here. Indeed, and look at that. Excellent execution on the Lupion. Knocks him out, and not only that, but he's going to get his own teammate back into play, Sakuras. And with that, we'll bring this fight back up to a 2-0. Very well played thief play over there by Fixie.
Yeah, that was very good. You know, he could have stayed at the point because, like you said, he was very low on HP. So I think a lot of the time, a lot of people might have been a little bit more cautious, but that really paid off for him. And hopefully they can get favor down pretty quickly. Hopefully for them, so they can actually, you know, get this node and get some points on the map and actually try and put some pressure on towards the blue team. Hopefully, but I'm not sure that's going to happen because Lodster is actually taken down. Arc goes brain dead over on the midpoint, and blue have indeed taken the mine point. So even though they got that small victory and still not capped the node because someone's able to come back in who is Lupion, this isn't going to be too good for them. We do see Pharaoh has gone down as well. Whether or not that's going to be the case, I'm not too sure, as he is back in the fight now again. So, you know, blue team getting those 2 caps and that small victory over Henge is very short-lived, as they still haven't got the cap.
Red team also is going to be rotating most, if not all, of their players over here to the Henge in an attempt to sort of just say, all right, guys, let's use this as our staging ground and then move on from there. Unfortunately, this decision is coming in far too late. As you can see here, both Sakuras and Fixie are now in the down state. They definitely look like they're going to be able to save them, but things are already looking a little bit dire for them as they're going to have to fight just after getting res, and I'm sure plenty of cooldowns have already been expended by both Fixie as well as Sakuras in this very, very extended fight over here at the Henge. Meanwhile, the members of the red team, 2 of them specifically, have pressured over here towards the keep point, and they're going to be attempting to take that away. Unfortunately, here, as you can see, Kazier is taking them for kind of a ride here, just bringing them around, kiting them to the best of his abilities, and this is going to delay just in general, it's going to increase the time of this fight by quite a bit. Kazier might have pushed it to a little bit too much, though, because as you can see, he's actually going to go into the down state, but it looks like Lord Asura may just be able to get him back up, albeit he'll have to take quite a bit of AoE in the process of that, but still will get them guys back up, and with all of that kiting being done by Kazier, again, it has made for a very, very long mid-fight. But back over here at the Henge, Jebro, let us know what is going on.
It's just, you know, it's head on wall, you know. The only reason they've taken out the Lupion is because they're in a 3 versus 2 situation. They've pushed Pharaoh off point. They're going to get that cap now, and they've only just started to get some more points onto the board at 10 to 115 to blue. With the 2 cap, you know, I don't think they're going to get out to get a node anytime soon. And it really feels like even these boss kills would just keep them in the game, you know. If they can rotate around the point fast enough to get those last hits with the thief and whatnot, then maybe they can get those extra stats and maybe try and stack them up to try and help them in these team fights. I'm not sure that's even in their head at the moment, but it really feels like something that maybe a team could think about, but I'm not sure if it's really going to help them that much.
The issue for Fixie's lads on trying to go for a Lord kill right now, or trying to go for a boss kill at the moment, is that again again they don't really have anyone that can burst it down too much. And keep in mind too that just in general, blue team's all over this map at the moment, so there's a pretty high risk of that boss actually getting stolen if they don't have pretty much full confirmation on it there. So it's a very, very risky move for them to try and do it. If they get full control of a sector of this map, I feel like it might be a better opportunity, but at the current time, I would not agree with him trying to take down a boss.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're just not dying as well. You know,
Yeah.
it's not going to happen, and I don't think. But it's
Red team.
Really
I do want to know that what we have going on over here at the mine might be what the red team needs. We've talked about this before, that how they need to try and pressure for big mid fights and try to avoid those smaller skirmishes. Blue team's kind of biting the bait over here. They are going in slowly, very slowly. A lot of their members are pushing over here into this mine fight, and if red team can fight it properly, which it looks like they are at the moment, and take the advantage here, that'll start that momentum chain we've talked so much about in the previous game too, and could enable them to very, very quickly come back into this game. But it's going to rely very heavily on how they team fight here and how quickly they are able to win the fight after the first player from the blue team goes down.
Yeah, Fixis actually just went down off node as well on the way to back up that fight. So, you know, Lipa and those guys, they're really, really using the point well. They're actually looking at the guys coming in. They're taking them out before they even get involved in the team fight. Look at the red engineer, Onibawan. He's getting pressured so hard by two players. He can't do anything. He can't do any damage. And look at where Kazu is currently standing. I don't think anyone on the red team is currently aware that he's standing on the logs, which is just on that little crane area. I have not seen anyone on that for a long time, dude. Look at where he's standing. That's awesome. No one's aware of it. No one can see him up there. You know, so he's constantly putting pressure onto the point. The blue team are just doing a really nice job. You know, it's not just this team setup. This team setup is tough to take as it is, but the way they're playing it as well is just going to not really help the red team in any kind of shape or form. They can't focus any targets. You know, it's not looking good for them at the moment.
We're approaching, like you said, another one of those scenarios there where red team's going to be scattered all over the map. That is not where they gain the advantage. They gain the advantage in the big team fights, trying to fight with outnumbered. Apologies, trying to fight against outnumbered players. And with that said, unfortunately, without them doing that, it is going to put them in a rather bleak spot. However, as we take a look back over towards mid, it does appear as if they've adapted their own strategy of trying to out-rotate their opponents. Back over here, Farrar has recently gone down. Lipion's going to come in an attempt to save him, but I don't believe that's going to be happening. Lipion will still be able to get onto this point. Fixie will attempt to get a decap, very close indeed. Fixie kind of leaps off the point there at the last second to try and stop him from getting on the node, and actually, with Fixie with that very, very intelligent shadow step play, actually manages to get the decap off there by shadow stepping towards Lipion just as the eviscerate was going off, so it would knock it on the point in time, and then jumping directly back after the eviscerate happened so that he could get the full decap off there. Very, very excellent play by Fixie right there. Unfortunately, just because of the extra pressure coming in from the blue team and because D squared had already been rather low throughout the course of this fight, they did still end up getting forced out of it, but again, that decap, that was definitely something that has, again, impeded those points from the blue team. I believe it would have been approximately 5 to 10 points that they would have gotten had that thing remained full cap that entire duration. Back over here at the mine as well, red team is about to get a kill on Draze and take a 2v1, but unfortunately, two more players are ink, and they may actually be able to save Draze. Good stealth comes off from a toss elixir S and save Draze, and with a double res coming in, they're going to get him back up, and what was looking very good for the red team has now once again been turned against them into an outnumbered scenario. See,
I'm going to have to take your word for it on this, because at the moment my game is so laggy that I can't even click on the eyes. So unfortunately, you might have to. It's not too bad at the moment. I'm looking at the red engineer over at the Henge. I hope that's correct. I'm not sure how far I am behind at the moment because I am going all over the shop. But it does look like they're having a lot of pressure over here. Farrar is in a lot of trouble. Needs to try. He has been stunned as well by that supply crate. I think he just got off point there a little bit to get some survivability. He's doing okay at the moment, but the pressure is also on the red engineers. Just using that elixir S to try and negate any of that damage. He's probably going to run off node now, getting into that elixir gun, of course, dropping a heal, and then he's going to be okay now as well. He's just dropped back into his shield. He's doing a nice rotations in his survival, actually. Notice this with Onibawan. He's doing a very good job at trying to stay alive on this node, and he's being the credit to the red team at the moment. They're not completely out of it, but if they don't get a cap soon, they really will start to push towards that 400 points. And with the Henge now as well, I can't really give it at all to red. They're trying very hard at the moment, doing some nice moves in the team fights and whatnot, and trying to survive. But you know, they're always having to just retreat. But I do like what Onibawan is doing. He's just stealth as well, but I think he was seen by Farrar there, so it's not really going to benefit him too much. I just don't feel like they're going to be able to come back now.
Well, we'll have to wait and see here again. It is looking very, very messy indeed. Like I said, if there is any attempt at a comeback here for Fixis lads, it's going to be in them grouping up and trying to push for big fights. They've been trying to fight small for this entire game so far, comparing it to the last game when they tried to fight big and it worked very well for them. They've tried a different strategy this time, and unfortunately, they've tried a strategy where blue team gains their strength from, so things in that regard are not really working out. I do also have personally noticed that Draze and the rest of the members of Too Young for Esports have been doing a little bit better of a job with rotation. They seem to have the reinforcements coming in at much better times than the red team does, so with that said, they're also getting a pretty big boost from that. But if red team can fix those couple small issues there, and personally I feel that if they switch up to a more team fight oriented strategy, I do feel that they could do much better here. And again, while it is looking bleak here, if they can make those adjustments right here, right now, there is still that small opportunity for them to come back and take this game.
Yeah, they're going to have to do it literally right now. They've got, look, we do see, look, Kazir's coming back over to this point. The 2v1, they could take this against the the engineer. But really, you know, it's going to be really, really tough for him to do that because he's doing such a good job on Node. And now that we have a full 3 members here on mid up from the blue team too, unfortunately the Corpse Cleave and the AoE in general there, especially coming in from the LE, is just going to be a little bit too much for them to handle. So with that said, Fixie Thief's going to get knocked out of red team. Once again, it's just really going to fall apart back over here towards middle. So with us being past the 30-point mark, I believe things are a little bit too far gone now. So with that said, Too Young for Esports, with the reset being finally in their favor, this does mean they'll be taking game 1 in just 20 points here, and as well, they will be 1 victory away from a spot in the grand finals where they will get their opportunity to take on I Love Lunch. But as well, for Fixie's lads, they still have their chance to come back, as we'll be heading to map 2 over on Legacy the Foe Fire in just a few moments. Just as my camera comes back. You mofo. Jesus Christ.
So again, keeping in mind the elements that we saw there, even from the first game that we ended up resetting, as well as the game we just played now, how do you feel these teams are going to perform as we move over to Legacy the Foe Fire?
I think Blue are going to be very strong. I think they'll probably take it, what, 500 to maybe, they might, I think the red team are going to find it even very difficult to get to 100 points. But I hope I'm very, very, very wrong about that. And I really do hope so, because this, like you said before, they're out rotating them. They are actually literally outplaying them at the moment, and which, you know, is, if in this setup, if you're outplaying them as well, it's going to make your life, which is obvious to say, very difficult, because these builds, this team that was set up that we're seeing, the very similar, exactly the same build, well, not exactly the same builds, but set up in terms of classes, is cheese mode. I mean, you know, so, and these guys are playing variations of the build, and they obviously know these builds very well, and they're very quality players, and it's very tough for the red team, who I think you said before is more of a pickup team, I think. I believe,
I don't actually know.
Right. I think you're right, but you know, we don't see them that much, or they're players that are returning and whatnot.
I mean, and they have D Squared, who up until I believe a week ago was completely inactive. He played for Team Oni Bawan, and like, if anybody remembers who that was, the last time that team was active was over a year ago, as far as I remember.
Yeah,
so
he rings a bell.
And I haven't seen him play too much in between that time either. So I do believe this is kind of a pickup squad here.
And he's playing, for someone who's been not playing, if like, you know, competitively, he's doing a stand-up job. So, I mean, he's doing some nice moves around the map. So talking
a little bit here about kind of the things that Fixie's lads might be able to do in order to get a comeback here. Now, I do think that we're going to see Blue Team do a similar thing that they did in their previous set against this team, or against a similar team, where they ended up splitting 2-1-2 and just trying to go for those side note fights, which again, that works very well for them. If they're able to hold those, and if they're able to take an advantage of those, then they will immediately get themselves into that position that we've talked about plenty of times today before, where again, they just want to stalemate fights, they want to get the initial cap, and then keep fights going for as long as possible. But, and this is going to sound really strange, like really, really strange, but I feel that there may be one saving strategy that red team can try to pull out here and hopefully win for themselves. If blue team pushes 2 guys over to that far node, they still have a majority of their guys, and keep in mind too that for this kind of play, they actually have the better position over on the red side for this. I feel that they may have an opportunity if they set up kind of a gank squad. And now what I mean by that is they will send one of their guys over here to the quarry, and probably one guy over there to the graveyard, probably their guardian to the graveyard, but then they have the other 3 waiting back here outside of quarry and possibly stealthing up if that's an option too. And as blue team rushes in, the other 3 of them just come out, very quickly wipe them out, and then use that snowball potential to roll over towards mid and take an advantage there as well. If they do that, that'll do 2 things. A, it'll instantly snuff out the blue team's initial strategy, and B, it'll also put blue team on the defensive, mentally speaking, so that again, they themselves won't possibly be able to fight as well back on middle point. It's a very strange thing for me to suggest, and I know it probably won't actually work, but again, I'm just kind kind of tossing ideas that maybe the red team will be able to do. But it does look like, again here, as we get started with the game, that blue team is now pushing for that 2-1-2 split. Red team is not going to do what I suggested, however. They're going to instead match those splits, sending it 2-1-2 themselves. But again, if they do not take these fights quickly, blue team will take the advantage in them. 100% guaranteed, because of the fact that they are built for fighting in smaller numbers.
And one of the main reasons they're not actually going to do that either is because they've just switched their FIFA out for a warrior, which I'm not sure is going to be.
It does give them, it does kind of even out their comp a little bit. It says, hey, we can kind of bulk ourselves up and fight in small numbers too, a little bit more, maybe not as much as you can, because we have still have a guardian and whatnot, but it does kind of similarize the comps a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the guardian is the only one who's the odd one out, really, which is quite funny to say, because, you know, we've been used to having that team comp for so long, but, you know, he's the other, essentially, he's the other Ellie on the other team, you know, he can do that very well. Oh, God.
Now, talking a little bit here about the matchups themselves, we have Sakura's and Fixie over here. Now, Sakura's can support Fixie very well, but unfortunately here, when you take a look at who is actually here from the blue team, it does seem like they have just a little bit more offense here, and unfortunately, because they're more centralized over towards their home, that I feel that is going to be a better position for them. You can see here at the moment, Kazuya over on that Kandienji is being a huge pain in the butt for Fixie, as well as Sakura is there, as it is forcing those defensive heals as well as cleanses to go off very early in the fight there. And as you've seen, it's already taken its toll there. Fixie has been knocked out. Sakura's is now the only player left up alive. With Draze and Kazuya both here, they should easily be able to lock down Sakura's, and as well, Kazuya should be able to just load him up with Kandis and take him down. So blue team will take the advantage over there. Meanwhile, back in mid, we also saw a 1v1 being taken in middle by Lord Asura and Arc there. Lord Asura winning out that one and getting a full cap there too. So blue team already looking very, very good here. Meanwhile, back on the red team's home node, you've got Lipion and Faror, who is able to actually kind of elongate fights very well, very much so through the staff, as well as just keep things under control there. From the red team, you have something similar with Onibawa and D2 being here, as well as Goddess again being that support. But again, with blue team winning the other two fights, the rest of the members of Too Young to Be Esports are just going to pile over here onto the quarry node in hopes that they can take a full 3 cap very early on in this game.
Again, I am assuming that everything you're saying is completely correct, as it normally is. I'm currently watching Lipion walking into a fence. I can't really shoutcast that.
Alright, so once again, I guess I'll take the wheel. Let me know when you're ready to go here. So going back into the fights themselves once again here, like I said, blue team just all piled on the point back over here at the quarry. They've thrown all of their assets onto it. But keep in mind again that, like I talked about many times before, this is where the red team gains the advantage. This is where Fixie's lads is given an opportunity to come back here at the moment, because of the fact that, again, they've been pressured into a big team fight. If Too Young for Esports slips up here even a little bit, red team will come ahead. Now, at the same time, the reason for Too Young for Esports to even push into this is when you consider the fact that, again, Goddess L and anyone else that has been here previously has already been in a fight since the inception of this game. So with that said, they have already used a lot of their cooldowns, and as well, they're going to be very much so weaker, and that is where they're hoping to take the advantage. However, as you take a look here, that is not unfortunately going to be that is not unfortunately going to work so well. Lord Asura has been knocked out. Kazuya has just gone down here as well, and he should get stomped out, which will get Arc back up here again as well. Now, red team, they've got to respond very quickly to this momentum here. They've knocked their opponents out, and already we've seen a decap back over on mid. That is what we needed to see, and if red team could capitalize on this well enough, this will be what they need to come back into the game. Are you ready yet, Jebro? I'm actually lagging now too as well. I think some people maybe will see that.
I can't get
Are you actually in the game itself, or?
I'm fully out.
Oh, you're fully out. Okay, then. So I guess I'll just have to take the wheel. All right. So once again, back over towards mid. It's a 3v2 in favor of the red team here. We do have Draze coming in, trying his best to lock down Sakura's. Faror is also on the side here, raining down hell with those big AoEs coming in at the moment. Red team might have to split themselves up here a little bit at the same time. They're getting very close to an execution back over on the Draze himself. So with that said, and him going down, if they can knock him out, remember, if I remember correctly, actually no, I believe that was Lipion, but still, with Draze getting knocked out, him being on Hambo, that's a lot of breathing room that red team is now going to get here as well without a Hambo being in play. Not a lot of stuns, as well as a lot of CCs in general just being eliminated from this fight should give red team a pretty hefty advantage, but they've got to be careful, because back over here, once again, they did allow themselves to get beat to back cap back at the quarry. Onibawa and D2 will now fall back and try and defend that against Lord Asura, but Lord Asura at the same time on the DD Celestial Elementals should be able to elongate a fight for a fairly fairly decent amount of time. If it'll be long enough to get support from his own teammates, I don't necessarily know, but regardless here, they have scored another decap, and this will put more distance between Fixis lads as well as Too Young to Be Esports in terms of Fixis lads trying to come back into this game. And yup, instantly here, like I said, unfortunately, because they let that decap happen, this is another opportunity for the blue team to kind of stalemate things. They're going to send most of their guys back over here to the quarry and just try to go for another team fight here. If they'll have the advantage, I don't actually believe so. I still think that this will end up being a red team advantage fight, but we'll have to wait and see here indeed, as once again, blue team's being forced into big fights. That's not what they want. They want to try to split things up, but right now they're really not in a position to do so, and this is where the comp loses all of its steam, because in this kind of scenario, there's really not much you can do about it. You have to go for a big team fight, but because you're not built for it, you have to rely on lucky breaks and just the kind of fatigue from your opponents from other team fights, as well as the fight that probably initiated this big fight here, on actually allowing you to win here at the moment. Now again, we have seen members of the blue team go down. We also saw D Squared going down there too, so blue team is kind of hanging on here at the moment, but if they don't watch out, red team will still eventually kind of come back against them here and eventually take this team fight. So we don't really have any other action on the map though, other than that, so again, we're kind of just forced to plaster ourselves to this fight and watch it happen, but still, very excellent play so far. Red team, all they've got to do is win this fight, and they will have a very solid position here to make a comeback, as again, the scores are not too far gone here at all. It's only 85 points for Fixis lads, and 205 for Too Young to Be Esports. That's only about a 110-point lead, and in this game specifically, or in this map specifically, that's very, very easy to make a comeback with. Jebro, are you back yet, or
nope?
Things are still bad on your end there. All right. Then.
Yeah, the connection is actually it seems to be a lot of the access servers are down, so I'm currently waiting. So you're doing a good job though. I've got the
oh well, thank you very much.
I know what's happening.
Make sure when you jump back in, you're ready to go here, because my throat's not going to last very long with this, as I've been having some issues over the past few days. But anyway, here once again, going into the fight itself, we have quite a big AOE pile, to be completely honest. Look at this. Oh my goodness, this is terrible for the red team. 3 of their members have gone completely into the downstate here. Fixie as well is trying his best to try and lock down one member of the blue team, but it's just not happening here. Blue team, excellent job here. They're going to knock all of these guys out, and this should give blue team enough of the steam to take this team fight. Fixie goes down. He's going to get knocked out here in just a few seconds, and with that said, blue team will actually secure the 2-cap here and keep their lead going. Huge mistakes by the blue team there. I believe what we saw happening there was, again, all grouped up way too heavily. Blue team managed to get a huge amount of AoE potential off with that and knock all 3 of those guys into the downstate. Big mistakes there indeed, and this will elevate blue team to a much more secure position here now. Current scores being 125 to 269. The blue team is now looking very, very good, and the red team, who was looking excellent just a few moments ago with that big mistake there in that fight, unfortunately is going to be left in the dust now in terms of the points. They are going to try to make a comeback. Sakura is back over here on the mid, unfortunately is going to be under quite a bit of stress, but it looks like, again, with that very well-placed ride, the lightning should actually be able to get out of harm's way for the time being, if he'll be able to fully survive. Looking at his 1 or 2 minute cooldowns, he actually does not have much left here, but again, it looks like there's adequate enough support coming in from his own teammates to where he should be able to keep himself up and rolling. But again, Casimir gets another Condi barrage also. That'll be dangerous for Sakura's, but we'll check back in on these guys later once again, as I believe that they do have adequate enough coverage to keep Sakura's back up and in play. Red team, however, may be making that kind of fatal split here at the moment, where they are trying to split their fights up here, heading back over towards and actually we did see Sakura's go down, but get back up, just to update you on that too. Back over here, we have a matchup going on between Fixie as well as Lord Asura. In the long game, Fixie has the advantage here, but unfortunately, Lord Asura will have quite a bit of sustainability, so this fight will go on for a very, very long time before we see any progress made, and more than likely, reinforcements will come into play. Checking what's happening back over here at the quarry as well, we also have Lipion going up against Onibawa on D Squared. If we remember correctly, Lipion was the person who was running that straight-up anti-Condi build, and he is still running that, meaning Onibawa is going to take some time to win this fight as well, and at the moment here, blue team is just looking at some very elongated fights where they may eventually lose, but they can get reinforcements to the points long before that becomes an issue here. And if this continues on without any further interference from members of Fixie's lads, we are probably going to be looking, to be completely honest, at a 2-0 here for Too Young to Be Esports, but we will obviously have to see if red team makes those proper adjustments in time, if they can get themselves off of middle here and try to go for advantage fights, or once again, if they will just succumb to that extra pressure that is happening on all 3 points right now from Too Young to Be Esports. Going back into the fights themselves, though, Lipion so far doing an excellent job against Onibawa and D Squared. Did manage to connect a very excellent eviscerate against him there. About to get another one, but big old bomb, very well timed. Big old bomb there completely completely stops that from happening, and it'll put a kind of a hold on him executing Onibawa on D Squared. But if that does not stop soon, to be completely honest here, Onibawa not being too good, and just getting out of that as well there, but I think he's going to run out of cooldowns here very soon. And as well, again, like I was saying earlier, even though Lipion is starting to get low now, he's had plenty of time to call for reinforcements, and we're going to see some more guys coming in here to ensure blue team holds on to this this node. Back over at the waterfall to check that out real quick, if my camera responds to me. And we're going to see Lord Asura actually winning his 1v1 versus Fixie there. Did not expect to see that happening, so that'll be another node staying in the favor of the blue team. And then back in middle here too, as we check that out, that has pretty much all been moved off of this point, to be completely honest here. Goddess L and Draze are kind of just sitting there having their own little party. And with that said, we are going to be seeing, it looks like blue team making a pretty solid hold on this map. Goddess L is actually just going to let this decap happen, so I believe, again, with a little bit of lag coming into play, possibly being the result of the end of this match here. But regardless here, blue team has taken a completely dominant stance on this map, and there is literally zero chance that Fixie's lads can come back into this game. So with that said, Too Young for Esports is going to be taking a 2-0 victory here, which means they will move on to the grand finals to take on Team I Love Lunch. That final will be happening in just a few minutes here, guys. So based, and again, Jebro, I know you didn't get to see much, at least of this second game here, but based on what we know about Lunch and based on what we've seen so far today from Too Young to be Esports, how do you kind of foresee that finals match going?
I'm not 100% sure of their actual line. I'm actually watching the stream, so.
Oh, well, at least you're keeping up. There you go.
I'm supposed to be casting. But yeah, so they need. I think a big mistake that the red team made was taking out the thief. In all honesty, you know, their damage just went completely then when they did that. They couldn't out-sustain them on the fights because, you know, they had the Guardian, but, you know, he's not going to be doing as much damage to his counterpart who would have been an Ellie on the other team. You know, they've still got they've got enough Condi removal. He's not doing any damage really at all. He's might stacking stuff, fair enough, but, you know, it's just they've got no one doing the damage. I mean, the only person who was really going to be doing the damage in that fight was probably going to be, you know, the engineer in the most part. So they were always going to have a tough go, and they did get to 200 odd points, so, you know, it was not too bad. But yeah, I think a Lunch are going to actually have, if they've got Bullet playing on Burst's Guardian, I think they might have a good shot at it. I think they might have a good shot.
All right, so we're going to find that out in just a few minutes here, guys, as we do head on to the grand finals that'll be coming up in, I believe, about 5 minutes here. We do have to rotate the maps in and out and get our teams prepared, but as soon as we do come back, we're going to be bringing you I Love Lunch versus Too Young for Esports. That's coming up in just a few minutes, guys, so stick around for more and for more of the finals of the ESL Weekly Cup number 43. Be right back, guys.